Hi guys, and welcome to another update video. These are getting further and further into the month, and I'm having I'm trying to get as many things done before them, and I'm very impressed with the things that I've managed to get through in the last 5 days. They've been really, really good. So I want to talk about some of them, but I want to finish talking about some of the stuff that I've done. Obviously, if you haven't been, if you're not a Patreon member, that's fine. But they're on finished for this year's Halloween on there. There is Stalker 2, Late Homework, and Dredge are all ones that I've finished for this year's Halloween so far. And now that I've decided to do something else that I'm going to talk about in a minute, I've finished also Sons of the Forest is one that I finished literally yesterday. Before that, The Casting of Frank Stone, Beyond Hanwell, and there was another one. I think there was another one, but I think it's just those three. I think it's just those three. But yeah, I want to talk about those individually, but I just want to go on about how disappointing it's been that Stalker 2 has now had a 1.3 update, where I played on 1.21. And the 1.3 update fixes apparently most of the problems that I complained about in Stalker 2, which is disappointing because of obvious reasons. Like, I've spent quite a long time playing through that game. It took me 40 hours to get through it and finish it on basically the same patch. And now they've changed it so that the review that's coming out in 7 months' time is going to be fairly irrelevant, but it's hopefully going to get the same kind of thing across. Because the only problem that I really had with Stalker 2 was mostly that the AI did not feel the same way as the AI in the previous games. And I don't really like going summarizing a game going well, it's not as good as the old ones, because what made the old ones good. And I wrote, very carefully in the review basically saying that the A-Life system that made the previous games feel so alive is sadly missing. And hoping for their sake that they have fixed the AI life system, but at the same time, if they have fixed the AI life system and it's actually really good and breathing loads of life into the world, then my review's going to be pointless. So yeah, that's a bummer, but what can you do? That's already done on there for whatever relevance it'll have if they continue to work on and improve the game throughout the time that I'm going to be spending doing it. The amount of time that they're going to be spending doing it between now and Halloween, which is obviously going to be a far into the future. I kind of wish that I'd left it till later to do it now, but it's one I really wanted to do, and it was such a big game that I tried to get the heftiest games off of the hard drive faster, just so I can have more drive space free. But yeah, that was one of them. And it was such a pain to do because of all the reworking of the entire room, and it's been a real chore to get through. But anyway, next one I played was immediately after that I started doing Beyond Hanwell. And Beyond Hanwell is basically the sequel to Welcome to Hanwell, and you just travel through Westminster, and wow, is it visually an impressive game. Walking out of the tunnel and looking up at Big Ben to begin with was a Bethesda moment almost, and it was really, really graphically, impressive. Horror-wise, it wasn't that great. It was really disappointing to have such a detailed environments feel so nothing. There were points where the game was definitely trying to spook you out, but it just wasn't doing a very good job until it got to the hospital. The hospital, as I've said in the review, is possibly the best and scariest part of that game. But the rest of the game is kind of the combat, they've gone towards using melee combos and stuff like that, and I think the second that you start turning it into a beat 'em up game, the enemies go from being these frightening creatures that are trying to kill you to obstacles that you need to get past to move on. And they're very much obstacles that you can literally pin to the wall by constantly comboing them. And that was that. The combat is very watered down now, but it has a lot of problems as well with the boss battles and the egregious auto aim they put on the firearms, which of course using a gun in a game is, it turns it into a first person shooter. But part of it is, I don't know, the combat is something that I really need to sit down and think about, because it's just it's not good really. But it is good. That's the thing. It's like an objective improvement in terms of the way that the game works. It's like it's far more fun to like, you know, bully enemies into submission, but horror-wise, it's just like, you know, I'm not afraid of anything anymore. So yeah, there's that. The rest of it was really good. The story didn't make a lick of sense to me, but I'm gonna have to go back over it because I think there must have been some diary entries or something I ended up missing or something to string the whole thing together, because I wasn't even sure. Obviously there was a big link between the first and the second game, but like it didn't make sense to me what kind of relevance that had to the character that I was playing as and stuff like that. Like, I thought that I was another clone of like the guy from the first game, but it was just kind of hard to piece together in between the, you know, wandering around. I'm gonna have to look it up properly to understand it. So yeah, I feel like story is the one thing that I kind of always wander away from, going like, right, I didn't get any of that sort of thing, and yeah, this one was definitely one of them. The next one I played was the casting of Frank Stone, and I loved it. I really did like the casting of Frank Stone. I was quite surprised to see the negative response on online to it before I got it. And I wasn't going to get it really because I was like, oh, it's a Dead by Daylight tie-in game, which I've never really played Dead by Daylight. I have friends who play Dead by Daylight, but I've only seen them play it, you know, in passing, but that's about it. So when I saw it, I was like, I'll give it a go because it was on offer and I decided to play it. And yeah, I really liked it. I feel that people who did play Dead by Daylight are right to not like it, just because it's really nothing like the kind of game that Dead by Daylight is, and it does, I'm sure it probably doesn't tap into the kind of lore that game supposedly has. But honestly, for what it was, for a Supermassive game, honestly, it had some of my favorite characters in it, and I ended up, you know, liking it, really. Like, I thought it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it was like, it didn't really ever get scary in the same way that, you know, parts in Until Dawn did, but like the atmosphere was really good, and like, you know, everything else was like immaculately done. And I played it through on PlayStation 5, so I didn't really have that many performance problems. There were some frame rate drops, but like, could be worse. Like, after playing, you know, Stalker 2 for a while, I was just like, oh, frame rate drops, whatever. Yeah, honestly, it was really good. I ended up enjoying it. I don't know what kind of score it's going to get, like at maximum probably a 4. But yeah, that's another one for this year's Halloween. After that was Sons of the Forest, which is the one that I've been playing over the last 2 days. And yes, Sons of the Forest has been way better than I anticipated, because I guess I didn't put as much time and effort into the original one that I should have, because I've kind of walked away from the first one going like, it's a good game, but I don't have the time or the patience to dig deeper into it. And I felt that, you know, after doing that previously, that I felt like I hadn't really covered majority of the game based on the fact that I'd barely gone into the places that you're supposed to go into on purpose to find the kind of tools that you need to do. And once I learned that, you know, the reason to go into those terrifying caves is to find, you know, the cooler stuff from the people that have gone in there and died, then I was like, well, it's all about going into the caves now. It's all about finding the hidden bunkers. It's all about this and all about that. And it was great. Like, I don't know if the problem is I can't compare it to the original game because I didn't do the right things in the original game. But like, there was some fantastically creepy caves, and there were parts where there were so many mutants, and there was so the caves just kept on going and going, and I was worried that my like night vision goggles were going to run out, or like, you know, that I wouldn't have enough meds to heal myself for the damage I was taking just running away from these things. And every time you'd see something horrifying down there, it would just be like, oh god, what the hell is that? And I finished it. Like, I didn't finish the first one. I don't think I even got like halfway through the first one. At best, I don't think I got halfway through the first one. But I finished this one and I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. I did something extremely controversial at the start, which is you get a AI helper guy called Kelvin, and on my first game I kind of felt that he was helping me too much. And I know that sounds stupid, but like I like the idea of like being alone on the island versus all the odds and everything. And Kelvin just building bases for me and, you know, chopping down trees and doing it all for me kind of made me feel like, you know, that the game was holding my hand. So controversially, and I'm just gonna, you know, I'm not gonna tell you exactly how he died, but he did die by my hand. And I was like, well, that's that problem out of the way. Now I can get on. And I finished the game on my own. Like I did all of the, you know, I had to look up some things now and then just because like it was getting a bit tiring trying to guess. The island is not small, and I had a great time with it. I was honestly impressed. I'm going to be doing... I'm not technically finished with it because there's obviously the multiplayer aspect, and I have a friend who wants to play through the multiplayer with me. So we're not going to be recording a great deal of it because I've already got loads of footage of the single player. And I don't think the multiplayer is really going to be able to compare to the single player experience, to be frankly honest, but I know that it's very much a multiplayer game. But I've kind of been looking at a lot of these things along the lines of how loads of people in the comments are like, wow, that's a great game, shame I don't have any friends to play it with. And I'm like, well, you know, I've not really been doing very much to look into the way of playing these games single player, so I'm going to do more of a single player focus on these because I don't really see very many people saying how much they enjoyed playing the game with their friends as opposed to I wish I had someone to play it with. And I'm just going to go through this and say that, you know, look, this is mainly the single player experience here. The multiplayer experience is, you know, I'm going to mention it in the review, but I'm going to say that, you know, if you want that, this is what you'll get, or like, you know, that kind of thing. Because I'm going to need to experience both to cover this. It's got two different categories. It's not like Lethal Company where it's pretty much expected that you'll need to play it with somebody. Like, it's got its own single player campaign and you can do it, and that's what I'm going to be talking about mainly. So yeah. Whereas like in the original Forest, I don't think I even had anyone, or you know, who wanted to play the game with me back then. So like that was that. If I was playing it, I was playing it on my own. So yeah. Talking of multiplayer, well, I also had a go at Murky Divers, which is basically another Lethal Company clone. I'm not gonna lie, there are quite a lot of Lethal Company clones floating around at the moment, and Murky Divers was one that encapsulated the horror of running out of air underwater, along with horrible, weird creatures, and going in for loot and deciding whether it's better to keep going in for loot or just dying down there. And that's how that game goes. And we played it for about 2.5 hours. We were very slow to learn the mechanics because I don't think the game had a tutorial, or if it did, we didn't notice it. So yeah, we had a bit of a confusing time with that. But honestly, it was pretty good. It's not the best one that we've played because honestly, between Forewarned and Lethal Company, those are the best, like, properly scary and like most fun multiplayer games to do. And I don't like covering too many multiplayer games, so I'm trying to leave it to that. I'm also going to be playing Blood Typers later, so that's going to be quite fun. I haven't done it yet, but got to put my typing skill to the test to do that. I don't know if Murky Divers or Blood Typers will end up as proper videos or not, but I'll either do written reviews on them, or they'll end up as mid-year videos, like, you know, non-Halloween videos basically. Or if they're really good, then there will be Halloween videos, because everything I've spoken about to you so far is going to be a Halloween video. And I just wanted to talk about all the, you know, so far, those are all the ones that I've covered, besides the free game. No, sorry, not the free games. That is one that I'm supposed to be doing. I've got a lot of new free games to play. But I mean, like, the one thing that I'm supposed to be doing is, the developer requests. And I've been given more developer requests since I made a post saying that I was going to be working my way through the developer requests. It's like they all heard me and went, oh, cool, and sent me some more. And yeah, it's been I've got quite a few of them to get through now that I'm going to be doing two at a time, I think, at most, is what I've been looking at. So the first one to pop up is Kiziami, which I've mentioned before, and a game called Delirium, which was sent to me not long ago, because those two are fairly similar. And I played Delirium, and man, Delirium was really short, but it was a game about survivor's guilt, and and damn, it was like, it took me all over the place. I had no idea where I was going with it, but it was great. The ending was, the last section was terrifying to say the least. And like, you know, I don't really get very many games now that get me in that like sort of, you know, freaked out, but it did that, so that's pretty good. So yeah, that's all I really got to say on that one. I've spoken about Kizuami before, so there's not much point talking about that. This year's Halloween is going to be parroting or parodying or paralleling even the 2021, which is the first Halloween, because I've got a Stalker game, I've got a Forest game. I'm going to be talking about I was thinking of, because I did Clive Barker's Undying that year, that I could also do Clive Barker's Jericho this year, and like just trying to get as many back in the thing. I've also got loads of big plans. I've got an emulator set up to do Dino Crisis from the Dreamcast, which I'm thrilled about, as well as Song of Horror. I'm going to be, you know, since I've been in such a good mood to like hunker down and play these games, I'm really hoping to get quite a lot of these things done. So like Song of Horror, I've got Hollow Body that's on my to-do list. I have loads to like properly, you know, get through, and I wanted to have like all the big ones, and basically focusing on dev requests has really kind of allowed me to just have nearly every game that I play be pretty much, I can either spend more time with them, or like, you know, like Sons of the Forest and Stalker 2, where like, to be frankly honest, I probably wouldn't have made it all the way through Sons of the Forest if I hadn't decided to just dedicate that amount of time to it. But yeah, this idea has been liberating, and it's only just started. At least it's liberating mentally for me, so I don't have to, you know, worry about whether I'm going to post this video that I've spent ages on this week, which will then not like take up not have a slot in Halloween, and like, you know, there's a lot of mental gymnastics that go along to please me when it comes to some of these things. Moving on to the stuff that I need to talk about for the bigger videos that I do every now and then. I've been working on the personal list, which is supposed to be the whole personal versus critical list, and yeah, that one is, I've kind of ground to a halt in that one because I realized that I would need to replay Deadly Premonition to put that on the list, since it is a video it is a game that will be on that list. So it's been a bit of a, you know, that's slowed right down, because I've been taking my time with Deadly Premonition as well, because I just don't have that game recorded at all, and I could just use like brief clips and stuff from the game, but I decided if I'm going to do it, I might as well go all the way through it and like play it to the end so that I can have it for the archive footage, because I have like quite a lot of missing games from the very early days of the channel that I just have not re-recorded. Like, I've not even got a complete playthrough of the original Resident Evil 4 because of how, you know, things have been panning out that way, where I just don't have I've not been able to have the time to go back and do that. So I decided that I would just focus on one game every now and then, and at the moment this game is Deadly Premonition. So yeah, I've been recording a lot of that, and the way that the thing is going is that I've got about half of it, maybe 4 entries left to write after I do the Deadly Premonition one, but I just wanted to get the gameplay recorded first so that I could then continue writing with it, because there's not much point, like, you know, finishing the entire script and then sitting down and playing Deadly Premonition for ages. I might as well just do one and then see how I feel about the rest of it. So there was that. The idea, there's another one that I'm working on, or I'm planning on working on, because I keep on having new ideas for things and then either don't start them, or just like, you know, forget about them, or they're sitting in the text document folder, which is massive now. There's loads of unstarted or unfinished scripts. And another one was talking about horror game environments, and it was going to be along the lines of, it was going to be vaguely adjacent to the Atmosphere one, but it was also going to have a lot of references to sort of, you know, like something like Adam Lost Memories, where like the game presents pretty much just an environment, and then you can look at the environment and just be like, well, this is what I'm getting from it. This is the kind of feeling that I'm getting by looking at the walls. This is what this, you know, the environment says to you. And atmosphere is obviously similar, but it's not the same. So like an atmosphere of a place is, you know, also the feeling that you're getting from the walls, but it's not like direct, you know, responsible by directly looking at it. Atmosphere is also just the kind of, you know, the storytelling in the environment that's done by like the start of the thing, or like something along the lines like your sound design, or like the presence of an enemy. But like, you know, this is all just kind of the environment. And I was going to talk about that for a while, which I reckon I could. The other one was going to be talking about protagonists, and how, you know, the right protagonist in the wrong place makes all the difference in the world. Where like you could probably, if you put like Leon Kennedy into like, you know, Silent Hill 2, then he's, you know, Silent Hill 2 will probably be an absolute breeze for him. Besides that, you know, because mostly I don't think he's going to have that kind of trauma. He just would not fit into that environment whatsoever. But if you put James Sunderland into, you know, Resident Evil 4, then he's going to get destroyed completely. Like, he would never make it past the fight with... I was going to say the fight with Krauser, but he would never make it past the fight with Mendez or Eva. Like, you know, can you imagine James Sunderland running away from, like, the giant mechanical Salazar? But yeah, there's a load of stuff that's just, you know, to think about for either of those things, like the protagonist and the game, and, you know, what makes a good protagonist and what makes a bad protagonist, and how relatable certain things need to be in terms of writing and dialogue. And there's a lot of stuff, you know, even voice acting and stuff plays a huge part, so that you know the difference, you know, so how a character is portrayed is, like, you know, enjoyable, because you're not really gonna have a great incentive to like save a character you're playing as in Until Dawn if you just don't like them. So like, you know, that's the pro and the con of that specific thing. So yeah, that's another one that I was I'm thinking about starting. I've not really been in a very good mood for writing at the moment, which is why I've just been playing loads of games as opposed to writing any of the reviews for them. I am planning on sitting down to doing that, but I haven't had the time yet, and I've still got time left, and I'm kind of just, I wanted to like go at it while I'm still in the mood to do it. And yeah, so that's about it. I don't really have much else to talk about. There's not really anything big that I need to mention, I don't think. So that's about it. Thank you everybody who's hanging around and watching these videos. I don't think there's many subscribers to this channel, but I'm glad that everyone's hanging around if you are watching this. Oh, and one final thing, if you do have a request for an idea that I've pitched before as a video, could you let me know if you really are interested in me doing it? So like, if you've heard me say in the past, you know, a specific idea for a video that I've had and you're really interested in that, then like, let me know, because I've almost entirely forgotten about what I spoke about last month, let alone, you know, ideas that I had in like, you know, July last year or something. So yeah, if you happen to think of any particular things you would like, or like if you can think of a great topic for a you know, an analysis video or something like that, then let me know. I have made minor I've done a little bit of re-recording for Amnesia: The Dark Descent, because I'm trying to get like all the notes together for that one so that I can do the story on that game, because to be frankly honest, I'm just not familiar with the story in many games. Like, I know them, but like I don't know them enough to do like a story retelling. Like, that's a very different thing. So like there are just only a few games I would probably ever consider doing that with, and I think that Amnesia: The Dark Descent and Amnesia Rebirth are going to be the two combined games that I'll be talking about for the next story video, which has been like going to be like coming up 2 years or so since the last one. So yeah, I got a lot of work to do there. But yeah, that's about it so far. Thank you once again to everybody on Patreon. Thanks again for everyone who watches these update videos. And if you made it this far, congratulations, your endurance is admirable. And I will see you all hopefully in the next one.